this evening of your time?
We are very well, thank you, and yourself, Isabell?
I am wonderful, full of wonder in that way, to then now be connecting to, communicating many of our known family in that way, to be able to reintroduce ourselves, remember ourselves in that way, collectively, all together in this time.
Thank you very much, Isabell. Thank you. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to be connecting with you here and now. And I would like to just off the bat ask you, is Isabell your actual name? Or
well done, you just in there. Well done, well done. We wish to say to you that you are rapid fire in your telepathic communications. For we were first going to state to you in that way before we allowed you to ask your first question, but you continued with your vocalizing. You then, in that sense, directly felt the resonance there of my own energy. We can say that my true name in that way is Bella, simply Bella. It was an early translation, yes indeed, beautiful, thank you for recognizing. It was in that way, the Is.a.bell, Isabell, was a early translation, you may say, from the channel, as well as in particular a friend of her that was holding space in the early days of the transmissions. It was then in a sense a direct representation of what we all are, Is.a.bells. That being said, we are all in our own ways, different instruments in the orchestration. But my name in that way, what my friends actually call me, you understand, is Bella.
Yes. Bella, beautiful. Thank you very much, Bella.
Thank you.
May I proceed to my next question?
Yes.
I guess that's the question. Yes. So I heard, or I sense that you are a first contact specialist.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I am. We can first state, yes, we can first state for you, for this particular introduction in that way, I am coming to you from a bit up line, you might say, in your perspective of time. Coming then from a bit more of my future self, you may say. This has been a new introduction of this version of myself to the channel in recent sessions that she has done. We are sharing with her that for certain interactions, it is more relevant for me to appear, to present myself in that way as a bit more mature.
I see.
I have then from my, thank you, have then from my perspective, as you understand it, recently fully graduated to that level of being my own solo first contact specialist.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So what that then entails, to further answer your question,
thank you.
I have first chosen to go through what you would understand, perhaps you have heard, via the Bashar, but through by Daryl Anka, as the 5 levels of mastery.
Yes.
I then first went through the level that has been known as the cryptic. We can say that it is balancing the earth energies, learning from the earth energies. From then there, I moved on to the next form, which would then be what has been described as the nocturnal. This is then diving into a bit more of the night. A further exploration in that way of the air of the void. I have recently completed, you might say, my training in that sense of understanding, integrating what it means to truly explore the void. I am now then entering into the full realization of what it means for me in that way to be a first contact specialist, entering into what has been known, relayed, to you by the Bashar as the shape-shifting, shape-shifter level. So I am in interactions with the different fractions, you may understand, of the hybrid lineage. I am from what you would understand perhaps to be of the hybrid children, that being the fifth race that was created by the human grey hybrid program, the Shalanaya, Yahyel Shalanaya, or the hybrid children in that sense. But as a part of my recent graduation, you may say, I am then now able to then also title myself as a member of the Yahyel. This, in that way, then the word Yahyel is not only the name for the fourth race created by the human grey hybridization program, it is also, in a sense, a greater concept. For the word, once again, brought through via the Bashar, via Daryl ankle, we are nipping at your ankles. Here, doggy, doggy. That word is derived from the Hebrew word Yahyel, which translates to building of structure, to shine brightly, and also then there is connected to the word community. So the word Yahyel, or Yahyel, we all like to yell, Yahyel, is in a sense a greater concept. It is the avatar race that, as time progresses, can then there include not only the fourth race, the fifth race, such as myself, but then also then there the sixth race, the hybridized human that understands and knows itself to be a hybridized human. We can all then there become to be different aspects of the Yahyel avatar race together. So I have always, in that sense, been in contact with the hybrid family, learning from different elders. It has then also been part of my training within the void to begin to establish further contact with what you would understand as our greater star family. Those being cousins, in a sense, of ours that were also created, you might say, by different levels of the Anunnaki. We are all, in a way, connected to what you would understand the energy of the Anu, and at different points there have been different representatives from the Naki who have come on knocking in on different timey-wimey points. I am then now, as I am fully entering into my shape-shifting full representation of a first contact specialist, introducing myself to completely different new universes in that way. Being part of the introduction that has already been laid down by members of the guild, we might say, before. So I am in the process, the experience, the joy of learning to interact with completely different beings that are not, in a sense, directly connected to different fractions of our extended family. Different beings that you would very much recognize if your imagination allowed you to push yourself to perceive it as very, very, very alien.
Thank you very, very much. May I ask, have you heard of the term CE5, or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, on our planet, which is the human-initiated movement that is currently going on?
Yes.
And may I ask, what are your perspectives on that?
I would then have my own perspectives on it, a bit of my own translation, you might understand. For as I see it, it is all of you in that sense awakening to all of your true natures in that sense. Understanding yourselves to be, in your own right, a hybrid. that is then there putting you into what you may understand a bit more of the 5D, or as I may choose to say it in that sense, a 4-density, a 4th density expression. You are then there activating your own radios in a way to be able to establish different levels, different layers of what you would classify more so as traditional physical contact. But it is always then there coming from, stemming from your grounding, your knowing of who and what it is human actually is.
Are you or your colleagues directly involved in the ships and the sightings that we experience when we do the protocols, or the C5 protocols, or the Rama group, for example, in South America?
Yes. We can say then there that specifically my group is also related to what has been labeled as the Phoenix Lights. Yes. In your North America region, that then there, yes, very well done, nice to see you, nice to connect with you, we are loving the shows, coming in all directions. But also please know, we are only able to have this interaction in this way because you have made certain steps, certain integrations coming from you and you. We know that you know this, for you would not be having these experiences with us if you did not know this. But we wish, as we said in that way, to call you back a little bit more directly, for you are all calling each other back more directly. And we wish to then relay this frequency of this knowing to you.
Thank you very, very much. And I'm very excited that you spoke about the Phoenix Lights, as I highly regard it, and I obviously really wish I could have been there in that sense, but I understand that not being there in that time was perfect.
Yes.
That leads to my next statement, which is, every time I think of the Phoenix Lights, I live in an area in South Africa called Cape Town, and we have a beautiful mountain called Table Mountain, and I've always felt very excited at the prospects of having one of your ships, one of your Yahyel ships, come over the city and offer us the same show, the same type of communication that you've offered and given to the Phoenix and Arizona residents, even though I understand that you've actually given it to the whole global society at the same time. Do you foresee the possibility of that happening in Upline from where we are now?
Oh yes, most certainly. And we can say that you understand how the formula works in that way, following your excitement, your heart, your joy in each and every moment, in each and every breath, you understand.
Yes.
That then there puts you in the trajectory of being able to align with these timelines. You
Wonderful.
Being in the moment, having no insistence on that way of how it needs to manifest. You understand this is how it is done. We can say, specifically, in regards to this type of expansion, we can say that it will happen in stages. There will be smaller groups in that way, certain members of your family, you might understand of your friends group, that are able to make the internal adjustments first to then line up with that version of the external reality. It will happen in stages. So then there, feeling your inspirations, feeling your connections, allowing yourself then to move yourself through the formula in that way, through your excitements, through your inspirations in each and every moment.
Thank you very, very much. I wish to discuss something that came up as we speak, and that is an experience I recall having, and I'm actually projecting it right now, and that is an experience where I recall being in an astral realm, or astral state, and a triangular ship landing in a forest, and I then proceeded towards the ship. It didn't feel as though I was walking. I just got there, and there was a beautiful, beautiful female being and a small male being that approached me and welcomed me and hugged me and gave me a lot of love. I wanted to find out if you possibly had any sort of sensing about that experience, and if that could have been any one of the Yahyels, or if that was just my own higher consciousness, even though everything is.
We are being shown that it was, in a way, a collective, you might understand. It was what you would understand as being part of the Yahyel, part of the Sasani, as well as part Pleiadian, part beings from Sirius, and in some levels Arcturus and Lyra as well. It was in that sense also in perfect unison with your higher self, as always. We wish for clarification for the images that we are being shown, that you were shown, of what these beings were look like. We're a bit in that sense looking a bit like the Sasani, or like a grey, or like a hybrid.
Yes.
Yes.
So the smaller being to the side looked like a Sasani, and I actually greeted him as Bashar, and it could have not been Bashar in my understanding.
Yes.
The female was slightly taller with beautiful long red-coloured hair.
Yes.
And lots of love.
Yes. Thank you for your clarifications. We just wanted to relay to the channel that, in fact, we were all on the mark, so to speak. So then, yes, the smaller being in that way was then there directly connected to aspects of what you would understand as the Bashar, meaning the Sasani, as well as certain levels of what I might label Eli, which would then there actually be the more specific being that you have all begun to know as Bashar. Eli meaning the ancient Sasani word for mirror. Then there, the taller being, the red-haired being, was bringing through different aspects of the greater star family in that way. This was very much a collaboration.
Thank you. I just wish to let you know my partner has just joined us.
Thank you, Chloe, and welcome to our conversation, as we were saying, that involves many collaborations of beings. Welcome, in that sense, to the round table.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you for having you here.
Interactive. Did you have a question?
Hello, Isabell.
Hello.
Isabell, I would love to ask you a question. You spoke earlier regarding a void that you had to master. I don't know if you would like to share some perspective on that void in order to master that level of your being you had mentioned.
Well, we can say first, for most of you, you will be initiated through what you would understand as the cryptic level first. You are all in that way in your process of accepting, you might say, the initiation, and trainings in your own way are underway. So it's not necessarily fitting for me than there to explain more of the next level. But I can say it has been exploring what you would understand as the unknown. And to know that knowing, and to then there, in a sense, be very comfortable with the knowing that you don't know, and to know then there that is something that you know. That would then there be the best starting place for me to begin to relay some of these informations to you, as well as I can say I am giving the channel her own words, her own interpretations, her own symbols in that way for what these 5 levels of mastery are. We can say that then what has been known as the first level, the cryptic, we can say we are giving animals for the next way of labeling it from my perspective of Is.a.bell Productions rather than Bashar Communications. So the first experience would be with the cat, would be listening to that which has always been part of where you're at, meaning Earth and your connection to Earth. Then there, we can say the next level would be the owl. This has been a common screen memory in your symbology on Earth in regards to working with different aspects of the greys, which is then always then a mirroring in a sense of exploring the unknown, of exploring the void. We can then also give the symbol for the third level, the shape-shifting modality, would be then now heretofore labeled as the raven. A certain symbol in that sense of a shapeshifter and a character in your mythology that has very much its own messages to bring and impart. This will get the ball rolling a bit more for you, in that sense, to connecting to more of the archetypes in that way, for you to begin to activate your own abilities of translation. But we say start with the cat of where you're at. We are all a little mad here, you understand?
Thank you.
Can I ask something? Bella?
Yes.
Are any of us three, meaning the ones on this side of the timeline, directly part of the hybridization program going on?
We can say for all of you, yes. You are directly in that way participating. Different aspects in that way of your DNA may have been contributed. We can say for certain aspects, percentages of your energy, of your emotional understanding have been contributed. For it is our will always for you to be able to decide your own story. For you do understand that you're grounding in the now, you're deciding of your frequency, your story in the now, then propels you down a certain future line, and then there also aligns you in that way with a particular past storyline. So we do not in that way wish to force, you might say, any particular story pitch on you. For it will be up to you to know it in your body, to feel it within you, to know which line of the potential past in that way you wish to most align with. For there have been, we can say, the perceived experiences of what you might label as trauma. But as you are all integrating more so with the understanding of who and what the greys were, in that sense we do say were, for they have been integrating on their own, and now the mirrors can line up in new ways. So you can remember, you can create your past in the now, to then, in a sense, lay down a new mythology, if you so choose, for the time to come, for the new stories, the new detainments, the new ideas of abduction that has been called, the new nuances can then be laid down to allow the collective to transmute, to transform these ideas, these integrations, this contact in the most pleasant, most positive way possible.
Thank you very much. I can only speak for myself, although I do feel friends and colleagues' energy that we are obviously very, very honored and happy to have been a part of the program, for which we understand we would not be having this conversation otherwise.
Yes. And we thank you in that sense for your services as well, for we would not be here being able to relay this information to you. Much of what you would understand of this universe would not be as it is without all of our participation.
Thank you. Bella, if I may just very quickly touch back on the experience which I described early on, where I was connecting with other versions of myself in terms of Pleiadians and Sasani and Sirius. What was the purpose of that interaction, more directly?
To get the ball rolling for you, in a sense, simply enough.
Yes.
Is there more purpose needed than it being quite exciting and accelerating?
It's very exciting. I'm actually looking forward to the next one, very much so.
Yes. We can say we look back to it in a way, and it's quite fun.
Yes, may I ask, and I would understand that this would be similar to anyone asking Bashar, what can I do for this or what can I do for that? But the question I have is, outside of, or there isn't anything that I can do outside of following my highest excitement in every single moment without any expectations, so that I could make physical contact with your society. I understand that it will all come in the
We
right
can
time.
say
Correct.
that we are now wishing to relay a bit to you of what that more so really means. You understand? Being able to,
Yes.
in a sense, slow down the relay process for you. For, in a sense, it was first described as that way of your highest excitement. We have always meant in your each and every moment. But more often than not, it gets sent through your translation, in a sense, as being the overarching theme, being the larger, in a way, inspiration, your bigger story, you might say. This then there has allowed you to clue in more so on your specific frequencies, to then allow your mind to adjust, the physical mind to adjust and begin to wipe away a bit of the dust, you might say, so then that the higher mind is able to bounce the information to the heart and has less of a filtration process to muddle through in that way. Really grounding yourself in each and every moment. We said even bringing yourself into the idea of your highest excitement being your next breath. So the more that you truly allow yourself to ground in the moment, to in a sense take yourself out of what might be labeled as habitual patterns in that way, to really ground, to really know that any action that you are doing, you are making the choice that that action you're doing, your being, is your interpretation of your highest excitement in the moment. And you are then doing this without any insistence on what the outcome means, especially when you are able to slow it down so much then there as to know that your next moment of excitement is taking the breath. You, of course, in your course, have no insistence on what that means because you're breathing. It can then be there that natural in that way. We can then also impart the next layer in that sense of being aware, being in appreciation that you have the ability to do the action of your next excitement, that you have the ability to be aware, that you are in appreciation of yourself for being able to take the next breath. If your then next idea of excitement is to get yourself a glass of water, to feel the appreciation for yourself, to have the awareness that you are able to be aware that you are then appreciating your appreciation, keeping yourself in this very positive spiral in that sense, will then help you slow down, focus in, you might say, on the relay. For the relay that your higher self is giving to your heart, that you are interpreting through your mind, that relay is infinite, is multifaceted, for it is what we all are. And the more that you ground then there in the moment, the more that relay, that we relay of the we can slow down in that sense, and you can get clearer and clearer pictures of what it is that your higher self is telling you is the next larger step, you might say, after you've made sure that you're breathing and you're fully hydrated and you're grounded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Isabella. It's Chloe.
Hello. Hello, Chloe.
Hello. So a question I would like to ask you, if you can maybe just expand on what you were saying earlier about the three of us being involved in the hybridization program, and really, I think, just understanding what that really maybe entails for us as human beings here on Earth, and around maybe what our purpose is, or how also that maybe affects our DNA, how it might differ from other human beings.
We will say on this now, then you have to ask us a specific question, for we need to be sure that you're willing to hear what it is you have to tell you.
So how does our DNA differ from other human beings having been part of the hybridization process?
We can then say one level of what you have participated in is being directly on what you would understand as some grey ships. This would be a fraction of what you would understand as a certain lineage of the grey that has made the agreement to then be more so integrated in its emotional body, in their emotional body and expression. This is then their one level, we can say, of what you have participated in. When you are, in a sense, physically on these ships, it is a very subtle process then of activating certain levels of what you would understand as the dormant DNA. This is done as the Greys have evolved in their own way, very subtly, through different uses of light and sound. They are then able to, in a sense, take a blueprint of your physical form, and more of these interactions can then be done more so on what you would understand as an astral level. But because of the true nature of reality, the true nature of varying densities, in that sense, it is very what you would understand as real. And then there has the ability to relay to your physicalized body in that sense. We can then say that this is relevant and applicable for all three and four of you, the body then there sitting in front of you.
The channel.
Yes, the
Thank
channel.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bella. Do you have another question? Nope. Yes.
We can then also impart the idea that there are also interactions that you have had with fractions of us, being the hybrid children and members of the Yahyel. This is then also done in what you would understand as your astral. There may, from time to time, be more physicalized agreements in that way. In a sense, many of you are hitchhiking ultimately, and we are able to pick you up. That has been the ultimate agreement in that way. That is what you all originally signed up for. There is no sense of abduction in that way. It is always that you have agreed and you are hitchhiking, you understand, but we can then also relay and impart our energies, the hybrid lineage energies in that way, involved in some of what you would understand as more physicalized contact. Then they're also for the expansion of your physicalized DNA, activation of your physicalized DNA, as well as integration of what you would understand then as more so your personality construct in this timeline, us being able to, in a sense, act as space holders and teachers, guides for you, as well as times when you are able to interact with us from more of your super subconscious, ultimate, higher self-conscious level. And then there, in those times, you function more so, we might say, as a teacher, a guide for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do any of us have, in this colloquial term, hybrid children, or contributed to any hybrid children?
Yes.
If so, how many?
We will not say at this time. We can say collectively, you make a baker's dozen, at least.
Great. We are so excited to meet them in due time. Thank you. Please send them out.
It is felt and sent and felt and sent. We also then wish to relay to you that while it is fun to bring in more of the family through me, while I do have joy in that sense of being an ambassador, you always have the ability to relay your love and howdy-doodies to them.
Thank you.
So Isabella, as us being part of this hybridization process, what could you say is really our main purpose to be here on Earth? Is it to really bring about
your main purpose
to humanity?
Yes, of course. And your main purpose then there is always for experience, you understand? For you then there may be what you would understand of entering down the road of one way that humanity may choose to understand what is its true potential. You might in that sense say you're carrying a bigger piece of the pie. You're carrying a slightly bigger piece of the shattering of the all that is. There may be people that are having the experience in that sense of having a slightly smaller sliver. That does not mean that they do not contain the ability, the aspect to expand, to having the understanding of the whole, the one, the all in them. But there are certain ones of you, in that sense, are carrying a bit more of the puzzle piece, you might say. It is the way that the all that is learning more about itself. Different ways of expression, different experiences to then relay back to the all that is. So all that is can know more about itself so that the unknown can make itself known. So you are integrating yourself, you are integrating the planet, but you are also then helping to integrate and accelerate the all that is. And being in the belief system, you might say, of the storyline that we are connected to in that sense of the hybrid lineage is potentially one way that we are able to bring about this type of ultimate integration for the all that is. But please understand, it is also in that way best utilized for those that may not necessarily have a resonance already with this type of information. It is best utilized moving forward then as a story, as an allegory, as a morality tale. For that is then how beings retain ultimate truth, ultimate wisdom, is through story. And then there, each individualized being has the opportunity to decide exactly what that means for them, exactly how they choose to interpret the archetypes and the allegory. For the greater message, in that sense, that we and you, as members of the hybrid family in that way, the greater message that we always wish to impart is the idea of self-empowerment, is the idea in that sense then of the manual, the very simple idea of being in our integrity, in our excitement in the moment, and imparting a bit more to people, to the humans, an understanding of how reality truly functions and how powerful we each are in creating a new world. So you are all storytellers, and you will all begin to know exactly how you wish to tell the story, exactly how you will be serving the ultimate integration in that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then just as a random side note, I just really wish to express my sincere excitement and love to you and your family.
Thank you.
May I ask you a question relating to the CE5 initiative, or the work that I am excited and passionate to do here? How relevant is it for first contact or for open contact, the idea of increasing and expanding consciousness on the planet as a whole?
How relevant is it?
Not really how relevant is it, but in the sense, the C5 work that I do, or the contact of the fifth kind, is this, well, okay, I answered my own question.
Yes.
Please excuse me.
Yes, we understand. That's why we asked it back to you, for it is extremely relevant to you. Then therefore, it is relevant.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your telepathic relay.
I have some colleagues in the field who often do the protocols, initiate the conscious protocols during the day, and they often experience what we would call as the balloon phenomenon, meaning that there are objects that appear in the sky that often look like what we would call balloons.
Yes.
Could you expand on that phenomenon?
Yes. These are different energies in that sense of us, of the lineage. These may be in certain times even actual crafts that you may be calling in already, and you are in a sense putting a screen over it for yourself to make it an image that is easier for you to digest, you might say, working with your levels of where you are emotionally. You're not wanting to shock yourself too fast.
Yes.
Yes. We can then also say that they are also images, physicalized representations, again, then they're of more of the greater star family, as well as certain elementals also wishing to take part in this co-creation, certain energies from your nature spirits of planet Earth that are wishing to bring some of their energies as well, and then the images that you are perceiving through your mind will take on, in a sense, different shapes.
Thank you. Could you share a permission slip so as to initiate these protocols in a more efficient way whilst being grounded in the moment? What what permission slips could we use on top of the ones we're already using?
We wish to impart to you permission slips of truly feeling your feelings. Looking for the parts of you that may still be in a bit of fear, you might say. For what it is that we are all doing for each other, that we are all doing for you, is holding the mirror for you, in a sense, to look at more of you, to look at more of the unknown that you have yet to discover, to be very honest with yourself and feel different levels of you that may still feel like a bit of hesitation, a bit of anxiety, a bit of fear, a bit of shock. In that way, you understand.
Yes.
And allow yourself to truly feel it in your body. Not necessarily then they're having to assign any belief system to it, not necessarily looking for what you may need to be believing in order for you to feel it, removing the storylines in that sense of where the emotion is coming from. Allow yourself to feel the motion in the emotion. For more often than not, these feelings of nervousness, of fear, of anxiety, of overwhelm, of shock, have inherently in it a sense of movement, a power point source in it. It increases your heart rate a bit. You can feel it pumping through your veins, pumping in your gut. Allow yourself to truly feel this and to feel the positive, integrative aspects of just the energy of the feeling of the feelings itself.
Thank you very much.
Good question. Isabella, I would like to ask as to what you were saying earlier, and I think what we all know, we're working towards this new earth, this new liberated, unified earth, and how long in our time could we expect to experience that?
We will say that is always up to you. We will not in this way give a timeline, for you are all understanding more and more and more and more and more. You can make the rapid shifts for yourself. For you do understand, we will just remind you in that sense, you are not changing your external world. You are changing your internal world, and then that aligns you with the different version of the harmonious earth that is always in existence. So by us giving you a timeline in that sense, of telling you that it may not be however many years in the future, that removes your power of you understanding how reality is actually functioning.
Thank you. Can I make an appointment with you and your society and ships for one of these days when I am out on the field? I would love to connect.
You can anytime that you wish. In the sense that, thank you. In the sense that, once again, you can play with this idea. You can use any forms of permission slips in that way, as the Bashar says. However that looks for you, whether it means practicing your own channeling, having more of your contact initiation steps and modalities in that way. Maybe even actually sitting down and, if it's fun, writing a letter to us. We can then say that it is also the next level of that particular one. Anything you wish to put on paper in that way, whether it be symbols, art, words, letter, burn it. In a very safe, natural way, yes. Maybe using the most natural of paper, even if you want to be very in integrity with the planet. And allowing yourself to then burn it. And the mist and the smoke then moves into the ether, and your appointment that way is more easily scheduled.
Thank you. Can I ask another one? What is, or do you feel excited to share with us right now, the most exciting society you have come across yet during your first contact work?
As I am nearly starting in this, I can say I can relay my interpretation, my perspective of the beings that the Bashar has talked about before of the Thuk. These are the beings that have the ability, in a sense, to have you forget that you have ever met them. This then there is a very interesting exploration for me, myself, entering more so into the shape-shifting modality. Being able to, we would say, tap into all the different versions of myself, all of the different parallel versions of myself, to be able to efficiently, literally remember them. Be them in that way. That is why then the Thuk in that way were the first to then be able to introduce themselves to me. That was, you might say, a lesson that was appointed by members of the guild in that way. It has now become one of our levels of initiation, you might say. For we are then able to have the experience of forgetting. For us, we haven't necessarily had that experience. This then is a way for us to be able to understand a bit more of what humanity has done in the sense of having the experience of forgetting. This then is all related to understanding, even from our perspective, even more what it means to be in the moment. What it means to be in the now, connected to all of the different aspects of you that have known and will know everything that is to and has existed. So the Thuk in that way act as a permission slip, you might say, for us being able to even more so fully relax into the infinite expression of infinite lines. To relax more so into the heart, you might say, the emotional body, being able to hold and support the knowing that we remember, we reconnect to whatever it is we need in the moment, always. But the Thuk in particular have given us the gift of not being able to connect to what it is we wish to remember. But the more that we align with their frequency in that sense of space holders, and the more that I begin to understand what it truly means to be initiated to the level of Raven, of the shapeshifter, the more then that I am able to, in a sense, ground into the rememberings of these particular beings. In the rememberings of all different parallel lines of myself.
Thank you. Can I have the last question? Because I've got one. May I ask if this reality, and again in my mind I'm having this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, but is our collective experience still on track for open contact between 2035 and 2040?
Yes. In your understanding of time, yes, and we will even impart to you that you could accelerate it.
Yes, I believe I can.
Yes.
Thank you. I will.
Expanding on the concept of shape-shifting, what can we, is it through...
We will not be given this information to you now, yet at this time. And exactly what... We will not be given any more specific information about the Raven level, the shape-shifting level. We take you back to the cat and where you're at. Listen to your trees. And if you like, we can say we will give, as this is being shared, to a wider audience, we can give a bit of a plug in that sense for the Daryl Anka's most recent novel, Shards of a Shattered Mirror. This has been an activation for the channel in her own way to understand these different levels of mastery, understand these different levels of archetype, for then you all to begin to understand more of it and how you may translate it for yourself. So we are playing a bit and giving a commercial and giving credit where credit is due.
Thank you. May I ask if we or I contain the energy and the possibility or the relevance of being a vocal channel as well?
We can say you do. All of you do. The three sitting in front of us do in that way. We can then also say that it may come about in a variety of different ways. To play with whatever modality is most exciting to you. It may represent itself in a way as a vocal telephone in that way, you may say. But don't be insistent, you understand, of exactly how it needs to come through. But yes, you are all stepping into your own versions of a channel.
Very much.
Thank you.
And it was an absolute pleasure to interact, to connect, and I really look forward to our future interactions. I wish you all the best. I send my absolute love and greetings, and again, I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Isabella. Thank you, sister.
And thank you, and thank you for your
blessings to you.
Blessings, our unconditional love to you.
And to you.
Thank you.